Moms are parenting in the age of fear. That's according to a new op-ed that says, quote, "We now live in a country where it is seen as abnormal or even criminal to allow children to be away from direct adult supervision, even for a second." The author is Kim Brooks, and she shares her own personal story of illegal fallout after leaving her 4-year-old child unattended in a car on a cool, cloudy day in March while she ran into a store for a quick errand. She was soon then after notified that there was a warrant out for her arrest. We're getting reaction from our panel of moms. Evangeline Gomez, who's in the back on the top left, she's an attorney specializing in family and matrimonial law. What do you think about this? I'll start with you.
I think it's extreme. These are, at some point as a parent, you have to rely on common sense. And if you can see your child and you're just stepping a few steps away, I mean, how many of us have gone to drop mail in a mailbox? And we park the car, get out, child's in there, and you run right back to your car. I mean, this isn't a situation where it was 90 degrees, she was leaving her child out for a long period of time. And so instead of someone reporting, calling the police, why didn't you just look after the child or ask the mother, hey, do you need my help? I can spot you while you go on in and you run your errand, and I'll be here. And I think we need to have more communication that way instead of let's report this to the authorities.
Kathy Barnett on the middle front row, radio show host and a mother. Kathy, you bring your children to work. I know you're a great mother. Your kids are just so well-mannered and well-behaved. This is a fear of ours. You're feeling like everyone's watching, Big Brother's watching. This was a person who was watching this mother, recorded the license plate, called the cops, and then the cops, she's in Virginia visiting her parents. She lands in Chicago, and they say, we need to talk to you, a warrant out for your arrest.
Yeah, I know, right? And, you know, and I posed this question to a group of my fellow homeschooling mamas yesterday, and there were no clear answers from them, because I think we all recognize that parenting can be exhausting sometimes. And sometimes you don't want to bundle all 5 kids up and rush over just to grab something out of the store real quickly. And yet at the same time, I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time on this issue, because as a society, we have a vested interest in making sure we have certain societal norms, right? That allows us to create an environment that allows us to thrive in raising our children. No one wants to see a bunch of 4-year-olds walking up and down the street unattended, right? And there's a reason why we don't allow 4-year-olds or older to enter into binding contract or to get married or to drink, because we recognize that they're not ready to deal with the consequences of their choices. And likewise, for a 4-year-old sitting in a car unattended, can we really trust that if a stranger danger approaches them, that they will have the wherewithal to know that they're being manipulated, to know that they shouldn't go? So I think it's a little bit of both, and we need to kind of take that into consideration.
Erica Komisar is sitting behind you. She's an author, and she wrote a book. We all have to pick this book up. Being There, Why Prioritizing Motherhood in the First 3 Years Matters. Erica, my child's 2.5. I read that title. I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have, a few more months. But Erica, seriously, when we were growing up, our parents did this. They went in the grocery store. Mom, please, we don't want to go in. We're going to sit here and read or do our homework or whatever. And we had 3 kids. Mom would say, okay, roll the windows down a little bit, lock the doors, don't open the door for strangers. And we were all fine. I know things have changed, but you wrote the book. What are the rules now? Because this mom said she was trying to avoid her child having what we all are very aware of, the meltdown.
So I think the problem is we don't really know the rules. So we don't want to shame mothers, because most people don't know that it's illegal to leave a child in a car unattended at 4 years old.
And it's actually not in that state, in the state of Virginia.
So we need to know in each individual state what the rules are, so we don't blame mothers. But I'm also of 2 minds about it, because children do need adult supervision, and they don't just need adult supervision for environmental dangers, for a stranger coming up to the car, or the heat, which is sort of environmental. They need protection in other ways, meaning when you leave a child alone who's 4, they're frightened. So mothers are buffers to stress, as I talk about in my book. We also deal with things like impulse control or poor judgment. These are things that we help to regulate as mothers. So when we leave a child unattended, particularly a very young child, we're really not regulating those emotions that they have.
Darby, sitting next to you, she's child and adolescent family therapist. Darby, what do you think? What would you tell moms that come in and sit, on your sofa?
I would tend to agree with Erica. While we don't want to shame any mom, it's kind of irresponsible to leave a 4-year-old alone in a car. A 4-year-old doesn't have the cognitive ability to make a sound decision, and they're very much in the moment. So they could just get up and leave. They could do whatever. They're not really thinking about that. So we don't need to shame her. I wish the mom had said, you know what, I did kind of a dumb thing, because we all do that. I don't think we need to go as far as legality of how we treat people, but you do need supervision. And the way to build a resilient kid is to say, okay, I know you don't love to do errands, but we got to do it. I don't love doing them either. We'll be back. Let's go quickly.
Right.
You know, as opposed
Can
to
we bribe them? Can we say,
yeah.
I'll get you a prize?
Exactly.
We're probably not allowed to do that, right? All right,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, there are two I want to talk to you really quickly. Elizabeth Savetsky, she's founder of accessoriesexpert.com and a mother of 2. What was your opinion when you read this op-ed?
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I think it's, especially as somebody who shares her life with such a big audience, I'm used to getting backlash and judgment. You feed your kids too much sugar, you're using the wrong car seat. And so I've realized that there is no winning when it comes to motherhood and other people's opinions. So it's about looking in the mirror and asking yourself, am I making a choice that I feel is safest for my child, and not thinking so much about what other people are going to think. And of course, there are societal norms that we have to subscribe to. I know my parents put me on an airplane by myself when I was 5 to go visit my babysitter from Texas to Indiana. And I don't think that I would ever put my 5-year-old child on a plane by herself, even though she would definitely be fine. And she's even asked me why she can't go visit her grandparents by herself. But it's just not done today. And so I think it's a question of maybe what has happened in the past 25, 30 years that has made us change and become so much more stringent with parenting.
Right, right. I want to get to you, Dr. Sanam Havis. She's a neuropsychologist. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
What are your thoughts about this? Where do we draw the line? Because you do want to follow the rules. Times have changed, but at the same time, you want to give your kids freedom and autonomy.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm a single mom of twin boys who are 3-year-olds. So I can tell you, I know both sides of this. I think that, you know, I think to some degree, parent shaming has sort of become a national pastime. So if you're not worried about your doctor or your teacher or your neighbor or your, schoolmates parent judging you, you're worried about social media judging you. So I think parents are awfully aware of this constant, eye on them. But I think that, you should never really leave your child unattended in a public situation. But I also think that parents don't always know the rules. I think that's a big part of it. I think it's a two-pronged thing. I think parents should be made more aware of what the laws really are in their state, which means there should be education in schools, there should be education in, pediatricians' offices.
Yep.
There should be maybe postings everywhere. You don't really hear about what the laws are. I didn't know what the law was in Virginia.
What do you Google? Laws for kids in your state? I mean,
but there really should be
Good
something.
point.
But on the flip side, I think there should be more education on the law enforcement and the child protective side.
Okay.
Treating a good parent like a criminal, I think, is actually harmful and counterproductive.
That's what she said. She said she felt so embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah, to actually caring for these children.
All right, ladies, we're going to have you back, another panel toward the end of the show. So thank you so much. Stick around. Happy Friday to all of you. Thank you for your perspectives.